We're a few days into having the first look at Shang-Chi in a new world that Marvel has opened up for us. And as always, it does raise a few questions. And today I'm going to have a look at one of them, which is what is the 10 Rings? I'm the Standard, this is the Geek in Review, so let's get to it. Now, although we've only got a teaser, we don't know much about this world, so there will potentially be spoilers ahead. Although I could be totally wrong, I guess we'll find out in time. And after much delay, we got the first look at Shang-Chi over the weekend, and it does look pretty solid. This is going to be Marvel's first martial arts film, if you discount the Iron Fist TV show, which Marvel certainly is. And it's going to be interesting to see how they integrate it into the existing MCU with the story, the backstory and the characters. But one of the main things that you might have noticed or picked up on is the title, The 10 Rings. And it might seem a little bit familiar, and this is because it goes all the way back to the start of the MCU with the first Marvel film, Iron Man. The story was continued kind of up until Iron Man 3, but the continuity of the 10 Rings, and especially the Mandarin, is nothing like the comics, so it does seem that Marvel is giving it a second try, hoping that they're going to get it right. But in the meantime, we have questions. So what exactly are the 10 Rings, and what power do they have? Well, the 10 Rings is a terrorist organisation, as we know, in the Marvel world that's been lurking about now for over a decade. They've popped up in various films, as I've mentioned, the Iron Man franchise and the first Ant-Man as well. But what they're going to have to do is clearly adapt the origin of the 10 Rings, because if not, it's going to tie into a whole lot of Marvel Galactic stuff, and they might keep it that way, but given that we've already got Thor, we've got the Guardians, we've got Captain Marvel, I can't see them really specifically adding this element into it, but you never know. In the Marvel comic universe, it's the Mandarin that finds the 10 Rings after discovering a crashed alien spaceship in China. He investigates the ruins and he discovers an injured white dragon from an alien race known as the Moklins. And of course, being a bad guy and being the Mandarin, he steals the rings, and this gives him enormous power. So what exactly are the specific powers of each of these rings? And yes, they are very similar to the Infinity Stones, which is why I think in this film they're getting worn on the wrist rather than the hand. It would be a little bit too similar. And from a design and production point of view, it does make sense. We don't get that comparison in our head, and it does look different and gives us a chance to see something that we haven't seen before. So the powers of the rings are, some of them are pretty standard, some of them are pretty exceptional. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to portray and demonstrate these powers on screen. We didn't get a look at it in the teaser at all. We probably will get a hint in the follow-up trailer, but we're going to have to wait a few months on that. So Ice Blast, or Zero. It does what it says in the tin. It's going to shoot you dead cold like Sub-Zero, again from Mortal Kombat. There's always going to be Mortal Kombat comparisons to this film, so I'm just going to go with it, deal with it. There's the Mental Intensifier Ring, and this is basically mind control and lets you also create mental illusions and distractions. So that is going to come in very handy in the old hand-to-hand combat that there might be a little bit of in this film. There's the Lightning Ring, which again is exactly what it says on the tin. Shooting lightning, whether it's summoning it from the sky or shooting it directly from the physical ring itself, we're going to have to wait and see. There's the Incandescent Ring, which turns the wearer basically into a human fireball, very similar to the Human Torch, grant them controls of fire and flight. I don't think they're going to be pushing too hard for this one in the film myself, because we've still got the Fantastic Four to come, and we've still to see how they're going to represent their power set on screen. And Johnny Storm is a much more iconic character, as far as I'm aware, certainly than Shang-Chi, so I think this one will get put on the back burner. There's the White Light and the Diamonic Ring, and the abilities of powers of this ring are very unspecific. It does seem to give you some sort of control over gravity and magnetism. How this is going to manifest itself will probably be something similar to like the Inception Corridor, I would hope. But again, I don't know, this is all just speculation. I could be right, I could be wrong, who cares? You do, you're watching the video and you've got questions, and I'm trying my best to answer them. So I'm going to get on and talk about the next ring, which is the Remaker, which is just matter rearranging or reality rearranging. Whether that's going to be similar to what we've seen with WandaVision and Scarlet Witch, or more along the lines of the Green Lantern, which I doubt, but how they're going to use a power that lets you sort of master reality around you, when we've already recently seen it. Or I suppose by that point in September it won't be that recent, it'll be almost a year. How is Marvel going to deal with, or how are the production and the directors going to deal with giving us new versions of old or similar powers that we've seen before? And this could be one of the most interesting things about this film if they get it right. Marvel generally always hits pretty hard in the special effects, and to various degrees it's a hit and a miss. I understand they've got time constraints, but some scenes in their films particularly do stand out as having not the greatest special effects. I did notice in this teaser, the bit at the end where he's on the bus, it did look a little green screeny in the background, but again, that's just my opinion. Feel free to have your own, I know you do, and that's perfectly fine. But going back to these damn rings, and we've got the impact beam, which does sound like she's going to be a general energy beam, so nothing really exciting there. Let's move on. We've got the vortex and spin ring, which allows the user to create mini tornadoes, or also manipulate this to be able to fly. We've got the disintegration beam or spectral ring. This ring has disintegration ray, although it does have a bit of time to recharge, or I should say it does require a little bit of time to recharge. And we've got the black light / night bringer ring, and this creates impenetrable darkness. Now what that's going to be, I don't know. Does that mean that the whole room goes dark, or it's like a mist or a cloud that surrounds the user, or surrounds someone that the user wants to attack? All these are great questions. I don't have any answers. I'm just going through it and letting you know what the rings are. As always, these are just my opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. You can also follow me on Twitter at TheGeeksReviews. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like. If you've not, leave an unlike. It's all good, and I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel as well. As always, I've been The Standard. This has been The Geek in Review. Thanks for watching.